Hey friends, come on in, take your shoes off, have a seat, and consider staying a while by clicking that subscribe button. So, I honestly didn't plan on making this video. It's been kind of in the back of my head whether I wanted to share this on my channel or not. But the more and more I open up about this, the more I realize how many other people are affected by this and how much better I feel when I do talk about it and find that I'm not alone. I've always suffered from social anxiety. I've probably had that since elementary school, maybe even younger. I've never really fit in, and I always was kind of like that weird person. I grew up in church, so I talked about Jesus a lot, and that always made me the weird kid at school. And so I think that just heightened that social anxiety. And it wasn't until I joined law enforcement that I really started to get just normal, I don't even know what you want to call it, like just anxiety about everything, not just social events. And I would say like the peak of it was also gaining about 80 pounds when I was in law enforcement. Like the main topic of this video, but I will say just like before, when I was working out and eating right and just being better about my body health, my mental health was like up here. And as soon as my physical health started to decline, my mental health started to decline. So I personally definitely see a correlation between those two. But this video is solely about mental health and prepping. So I think physical health is a whole nother video I do want to make. But like I said, this video is just to focus on those. I just wanted to say that I think being overweight and being in poor shape does affect me mentally, and it definitely could affect me in an emergency situation. This pandemic was probably the worst thing for my anxiety. I love to travel, I love camping, I love being out in nature, but I love doing those things like not around crowded people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I like to get outside, but I don't like to be around crowds. So before the pandemic, we did a lot of camping and hiking and that kind of stuff. We did a little bit last summer, but not as much as like what we could do before, because obviously campgrounds and stuff were closed. And so this pandemic forced me to be inside, which a lot of people know if they struggle with any type of mental disorder. On the days you're not doing good, that's all you want to do is stay inside, stay in a dark room, be away from people, be away from the sun, and just kind of be with your disorder. On top of being in a lockdown, we were new to prepping and we started panicking, and I was reading all these news articles, and I guess just an overwhelming amount of fear lived with me for about 6 months when the pandemic was first happening and nobody really knew what to think of it. And of course that brought on a lot of anxiety. So in law enforcement, we talk a lot about if you're in an emergency or a critical situation, you have 3 responses. You have a fight, flight, or freeze. And what that means is you either are gonna fight your way out of a situation, you're gonna freeze and just kind of be a deer in the headlights, or you're gonna fight, so you're gonna run away from a situation. And I know, because I've been in a few physical altercations in law enforcement, that I am definitely a freezer. My brain doesn't process very well in high emergency situations. So now that I have more of a clear head and I look back on that time, if something were really happening, like if SHTF happened or something during that 6-month period and I had all this anxiety and all this fear, that would cripple me, because if we would need to move quickly, or I don't know, there could be a whole slew of like examples I could give you, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be functioning at my highest because I do have that freeze response in me. I'm actually sitting outside because I'm having a bad day today. I, for whatever reason, woke up with just like a bunch of anxiety. And I mentioned the sun earlier because I noticed one of the things that really help me, especially being locked inside, especially being working from home, is just getting out, getting some vitamin D and fresh air. And for whatever reason, I know there's like a bunch of different studies about it, but it makes me feel so much better and it gives me a clearer head. And so that's why I am making this video, because I just kind of wanted to share what I'm going through and why I think it's important to take your mental health into consideration when you are prepping. Having our small stockpile and our emergency food and our emergency weapons and that kind of thing, I can tell you, hasn't made my anxiety go away completely, but it's definitely made it better, because now in a situation, an emergency, instead of panicking and trying to run around the house, we have bags packed, we have food stocked, and it can take that freeze response that I have in that moment and like let me know, hey, you can calm down, you've prepared for this, so we're good with at least a short-term situation of having to stay here. Let's breathe and let's think. I really want to encourage anyone who struggles with anxiety or another mental disorder to really give prepping a consideration if you have not, because it does help in those situations. And those who are prepping and haven't thought about mental health, I would really encourage you to, so you know how, I mean, you know yourself, I think, better than you even think you do. And so knowing how you respond in high stress situations, knowing you have certain disorders or a certain way of thinking can and will potentially save your life if you're preparing now and kind of preparing methods to combat the feelings and the thoughts that you're having. Like I said, me coming out here, my anxiety has gone like way down, so make sure that you're also just taking care of yourself every day, so that you can be prepared if something random comes up and it's not going to stress you out. So come outside and just get some sun, be out here for 15 to 20 minutes and just soak in the vitamin D. Definitely, like I said, work on your physical health. Like, it doesn't even have to be anything vigorous. Like, I'm not saying go do CrossFit or anything, but I definitely know I want to get back into at least walking every day and just eating better. I think those are all things that can help us manage our mental health. Also, I don't think there's any shame in talking to a pastor or a counselor, psychologist. Like, please don't leave mental health out of your preps. I think it's almost more important, because if you're not mentally stable or sound, or you don't have coping mechanisms, then all your preps are worthless, because you're not going to be able to function in that high stress environment. It's actually really hard for me to share because I think that mental health is still kind of a taboo in our society a little bit. But being a Christian, I truly don't think like anxiety and depression come from God. I think that comes from Satan, and I truly think that he like wants you to dwell on those things, and I truly think that he wants you to feel like you're the only one that has this, because then you isolate yourself more and then it gets worse and then you're just down. So the more and more that I open up about it, the more I find that I feel better, because I feel like I have a support system. I don't feel alone. And I also feel like I could help someone else not feel alone too. And I don't think that God wants us to hide those feelings, because like I said, I don't think they come from him. I think he wants you to bring them into the light, to bring them to him so he can help you with them and send you good friends and good people to help you through that. So yeah, so I guess just be kind in the comments, because this is hard for me to talk about, but if it does help someone out there with anxiety or another mental disorder, then I'm okay with it. So I just want to make sure my prepper family is being prepared as we can, especially in these uncertain times. And I love all you guys, and I just appreciate you guys supporting me and just the family that I'm forming on here. It's great. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. It's free, only takes a second, and it really helps the channel out. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Bye.